This is the Simulation Football League of a virtual football network. This game is one of question marks for the Minnesota Legend. Is this the game after falling to Oklahoma City last time out and falling in week 1 to Chicago? Is this the game where they finally put everything together and get their first win? On the flip side, for Queen City, which Queen City Corsair team will we see? The one that took down the Maulers or the one that folded to Houston? Anthony Ellison joins me here in the booth. Ant, questions, you might have some possible answers for these two clubs.
Yeah, and this is going to be really important, Tyler. It's going to be chess games between head coach for Queen City, Chad Stinson, and the head coach from the Minnesota Legend, Axel Raven. They're going to have to play a little chess matchup. You know, the running game is going to be open for Minnesota, but then Queen City needs to go on the attack on the passing game. So let's see which one is going to be effective.
Minnesota in their all greens. Queen City rocking all whites tonight. That'll be fun to watch as we get set for kickoff here from St. Paul, Minnesota. Good to be back home in the land of 10,000 lakes. As Queen City will kick us off to begin the ball game, as here we go from Minnesota. The opening kickoff will be taken down for a knee in their own end zone. EJ Minson hauls it in cleanly, and that is where starting quarterback for the Minnesota Legend, Johnny Reno, comes out to take snaps under center. 50% completion percentage last week, 254 yards, a touchdown, but he's got 6 interceptions on the young season, through 3 of them last week to Oklahoma City. Run up the gut, Colin hard for a great gain of 8, and that's something that Minnesota hasn't done a whole lot here. Anthony has run the football, but what they have, they've done it to great effect, averaging over 6 yards a carry.
Exactly, and that's what we're going to see a lot of. We want to see a lot of number 23 here. Colin Hart is second in the league on average on rushing. We just need to see a lot of that today.
Heavy look here on second and short. The linebacker comes up through the middle, and Queen City, who have struggled to stop said run here early on in the young season, come up with a stop here.
Yeah, and that's going to be key right there. That's number 41, Luke Swift, coming up with a tackle. We're going to look at that defensive line for Queen City. Young, Stinston, Steele, and Cron. You got to get some penetration and push the offensive line backwards to prevent this.
Third straight run to begin the game, and Hart gets a good block from his fullback, Jay Ballmer, as that'll be a Minnesota first down. Let's meet the rest of that Legend offense. Isaac Knox is the other tailback there in that backfield alongside Hart and Ballmer. Quake Mamdeezer Powell, Jay Taylor, and EJ Minson are the wideouts, with Jason France at tight end. And on the line, it's Carly Forge, Axel Raven, Ruthie Raven, and Griffin King. Handoff left side, going nowhere. In the backfield quickly was the D-end, Darko Young.
First tackle of the season for Darko Young, and it came at a big time here. Went with a pitch to the left side, did not block him. You can't do that. That's how you're going to get your running back hurt right there. Stop him in the back here for the 4-yard loss.
Awareness early, as now we'll see our first pass of the game here for Reno. Rolling to his right, throwing, a nice catch by Minson. Full extension, and gets the first down on 2nd and 14.
Shout out to the Minnesota offensive line right there. Protection, you see all the Queen City players on their back right there, and that quarterback, it's not even a pocket anymore because everybody's on their back right there. Was able to have time to look over 3 progressions to get it to the tight end to the right side.
Bunch off to Reno's right here on a new set of downs. He'll pitch that direction to Hart, and just maybe took a little bit too long to get going. Elijah Quick, the corner, there to say hello for the first time today. Saying also hello is the rest of the Corsairs defense. We talk about Darko Young. He partners, or usually partners alongside Chance Stinson, who's inactive today on the other DM spot. Flynn Steele and Robert Korn make up the interior line. Duncan on him. Luke Swift, Dexter Jackson, the linebackers, with Bentley Bonner, Elijah Quick, Eric Belmont at corner, and Justin Raside and Alex Raven are the 2 safeties. Beezer Powell was the man in motion to the near side. Blitz coming from that direction. Pass is caught by Jason France to the 42-yard line.
Another catch by their big tight ends there. Well, what we're seeing is great pass protection. I like how, and you don't have somebody in front of you, you slide over, you find the available person to block right there. Good job by the offensive line from Minnesota, giving the quarterback time to just look over the middle, make an easy throw.
So he's trying to put the speedy safety and coverage in and caught Justin Rasai just a little bit off guard. He's pulling double duty. Maybe has his head back in the stat truck there on that play. Thanks to him and for Andrew Gibson for helping us out tonight with those live stats here tonight. Pass middle is incomplete. Again, looking for France. Dexter Jackson was in the area for the Corsairs, and that brings up second down.
And that time they brought an overload blitz, bringing Belmont off on the side, plus the safety on top, and it was just a rush situation right there. That's a good job by Queen City. You got to bring a little bit more if you have too much time in the pocket. Send some more blitz. I'm all about that.
Nickel look out of Queen City here as Minnesota show three wide receivers. Reno has time, middle, caught, and getting a block is Powell, and he gets inside the 20-yard line, and they're finally into the red zone for the first time on this long early drive.
Your bookend tackles, Carly Forge, Axel Raven, are literally stonewalling the defensive ends right there. Once again, 3 Queen City players on their back on the defensive line right there. That's all the time in the world. Even though we talked about it, Tyler, that we want them to run the football, their pass protection has been phenomenal this drive.
21 yards from Reno to Powell on the 10th play of the drive. They go with a run from Hart, and he gets met up after a gain of about 4.
And right there, and you know, not every single, I love that type of run. It's a 4-yard gain. Not everyone is going to be explosive, but here's the thing. When you get 4 or 5 yards on first down, second down right there, you can do whatever you want to. You can open your playbook up.
That was the 6th carry. Make this the 7th here as Knox gets the call. And he will go inside the 10, make it 1st and goal, Minnesota.
Now, I talked about a couple plays ago, a bunch of bookend tackles with pass protection. Now, let's talk about the ones in the middle right there. Raven and King, your 2 guards, leading the way. When they didn't have somebody in front of them, they're going towards the second level. They're going towards the linebackers right there. And before Knox got even touched, it was like 5 or 6 yards. This is beautiful blocking on this first drive.
Pitch play near side for Hart. He's out of a tackle, and he's home free! Touchdown legend! And Minnesota's run game getting off to an excellent start. Just what they needed.
And I talked about the chess matchup right there. This is phenomenal. Fullback leading the way, but here's the thing. That was in the backfield. We was able to break a tackle. So we're seeing great blocking. Now we're also seeing breaking tackles on this first drive. This is the Minnesota team that the fans been wanting. They've been saying, hey, we can do this. We have the offense to do it, and they showed it on this drive.
First touchdown of the season for the league's all-time leader in rushing touchdowns, as Cullen Hart makes it 7-0 here after a very good drive for Minnesota, who only had, coming into this game here, Anthony, 32 rushing attempts. And on that drive, they rushed for 8 times, giving them 40 total in the entire season. So that's already 1/5 of the amount of total, maybe my math is wrong. No, we'll say about 30%, a little under 30% of the total amount of runs the entire season for Minnesota have come already in this game, as Silas Christensen will take his offense onto the field here for the first time tonight from his own 28-yard line. And well, he had a pretty decent day. No 65% completion percentage. There's no touchdowns, but kept it clean. Has yet to throw an interception this season. The second season quarterback as he shuffles the fullback Lars Bizarre off to the left. Tries to run up the middle and going nowhere. Tailback met up by Matthew Alvarado. And let's take a look at the Corsairs, the rest of their starting offense. John Osmosis and Charlie Baker, the 2 tailbacks, with Lars Bizarre at fullback. Adrian Ellis Sr., who is inactive, partners alongside Ryan Davis, Bob Wood, Guy Clausen, and Joe Beasley at wideout. James Matthew Jr. is the tight end. Don Cosmosis landed on him, and that pass, meanwhile, to James Matthew Jr. to the far sideline is caught for a big gain and an early first down for Queen City.
And that's what you're going to have to exploit on the Minnesota defense. They're in the bottom of the league with passing yards allowed, giving up almost 373 yards a game. And you're going to have to fight that. And Matthew Jr. is a target that is familiar to everybody's eyes throughout the season. You're going to be looking for him throughout the day.
And throughout the last 4 seasons, Minnesota's been in the top 10 in terms of passing defense. The most they've allowed in the previous 4 seasons is 200, just a little over 210. And meanwhile, Charlie Baker on the ground, an excellent hole created for him by his own line. Let's take a look at it again.
Love it. Nice little delay hitch on that ISO run right there. Gives you time for the fullback to go over the middle. Good job on the interior line, getting the push at front and then going towards the linebackers right there. That's a good run.
While the Minnesota drive may have been more methodical, this Queen City drive, already 3 plays and already into enemy territory. Another run through the middle, and really nothing doing this time for Justin Vargas, the 3rd-string tailback here for the Corsairs.
And let's keep an eye on those linebackers for Minnesota right there. Stephen Black, Alvarado right there. And then defensive tackle Mark Mello, which is 4th in the league with sacks so far with 3.5. They're going to need big plays from them today.
Slot receiver in motion, that's Ryan Davis. Minnesota adjusts now as you're looking at pass. Christensen getting rid of it and finding an open receiver in the nick of time. It's Lars Bazar, the fullback. He just barely got open in time.
Yeah, that was almost going to be a sack right there. I love the patience by Christensen. Was barreling down with the defensive end, going to get the sack. Was able to just be calm, look down the field, and deliver a strike before it was too late.
Tight ends right, Christensen looking middle, and it's off the back! Oh my goodness, could have been the first pick on Christensen by anybody this season. Instead, Stephen Black is gonna be beside himself.
That 6'5" frame, you thought that was gonna be tall enough, but there, I knocked it down, but almost secured the interception, which would have hurt the drive from them.
Tight end look, heavy rush coming past middle, wide open, James Matthew Jr., but the hit jarring the ball free by Derek Meerkat, and it's 3rd down.
One all-star in season 22, Meerkat right there. That's the way you lay the boom across the middle. If you want to throw these post routes, these slant routes, you're going to have to understand there's going to be somebody in the middle looking to knock you off of your feet right there, and that's what happened right there and jarred the ball loose.
Formation off to Christensen's right, 4-man rush here for Minnesota. Silas middle caught. It's a gain of about 8, they'll say. And it'll be just 2 yards short for Queen City, and it's 4th down.
So after that barrage of big plays earlier in the drive, Minnesota was able to settle down when they got closer to the red zone and hold them to potentially 3 points.
That field goal is up and good from Joe Garfield, who is perfect on the season, his 4th make of attempts here in just week number 3 of the SFL. It is 7-3, Minnesota with the early lead, but Queen City sticking around.
Yeah, and Queen City going back on defense right here. I want to see a different front for Queen City. Maybe a 44 or a 5 to get some more defensive linemen, or if you can't, send more pressure, because that running game from Minnesota took over the drive.
We did see a lot of pressure from Minnesota's defense, and that allowed Christensen to find a few more receivers than I think Minnesota would have liked, but we'll see what happens here. 8 rushes on the first drive. Now, how does Minnesota attack the second one? They'll try and go through the air. Safety blitz coming. Pass off the shoulder pad of Jason France. Big burly tight end just couldn't be that more nimble enough to reach around behind him.
Yeah, 6'7", 270 right there. You want that type of pass, a high point pass that only he can go up and get it, just missed up.
Zone look. Looking like here for Queen City. They try and blitz past middle, and France can't find the ball again.
Yeah, it looks like with a zone blitz on top of that there, you saw number 78 drop back into coverage, and then two middle, like a linebacker and a safety came in. That's the pressure that you need. Kind of confused the quarterback there. Good job by Queen City.
3rd string defensive tackle Chris Cooper But there, 3rd and 10 here for Reno. Pressure coming off the edge. That is caught, but Reside making the first down saving tackle on Taylor. And that'll bring up a punting situation, a 3 and out on the second drive for Minnesota after having a sublime drive on the first one.
Good job right there making the adjustment on this drive here. 3rd down situation, just make sure everything is in front of you and nothing behind you.
There will be a return here, as trying to get to the outside is Bob Wood. He'll be wrapped up at his own 40-yard line. While we have a moment with 2 minutes to go here in the first quarter, let's introduce you to the Legend defense. Angela Meerkat, Jason Clay, and Mark Miller are the defensive linemen, with Matthew Alvarado, Stephen Black, BJ Loveless, and Stefan Forge at linebacker. Chris Stock, Nicholas Frossel, and Johnny Bravo are the corners, with Slim Shady, Derek Meerkat, and David Leathers at safety. Brand new set of downs here for Queen City. March down the field and kick a field goal in the first drive for them, as this one goes for a nice little swing pass. And getting forward is Charlie Baker for 6.
Good job recognizing man coverage there and realize the linebacker did not get over to the running back in time. Sometimes you just need to check it down. There's nothing, no harm, no foul. Good 6-yard pass.
Loving these wing looks here today. Number 2 tight end off to the right. They try and run that direction. And Osmosis, with his first carry in the game, only manages a couple, and it brings up 3rd and short.
After the first 2 drives by each team being explosive, this is a lot more calmer and settled right here. Big 3rd down here. Send the pressure if you're Minnesota.
10 guys in the box, and they can't stop the run in time. Baker converts for a first down.
And that's just, you know, D-line versus O-line right there. Who's going to get the push, and then finding just enough of a hole right there to get the first down. That's what we saw. Good job blocking.
Christensen gonna roll and try and take off, and he's taken down by Mark Mello. First sack of the game here for the Minnesota defense.
One of the players that we were watching right there, coming up with his 4.5 sack of the season, and you see right there just moving the guard out the way and just pursuing the quarterback right there. That's somebody you're gonna have to keep an eye out, maybe double team.
Something that Minnesota's been doing well all season long is getting the quarterback top 5 in sacks here early on, as that flip out near side on 2nd down going nowhere. Worked out a few plays ago, not this time.
Now we're probably going to not run a play until the second quarter here, but this is going to be a long 3rd down situation. Let's see what they're going to do.
Minnesota 7, Queen City 3. You're watching the SFL on the Virtual Football Network. Welcome back to St. Paul, Minnesota, and Northwood Stadium. I'm Tyler Falk, joined in the booth by Anthony Ellison. Special thanks to Justin Reside and to Andrew Gibson of the Stats Truck. As another special thanks to our commissioner, Ken Irvine, who's back in production. Back at SFL Studios and VFN Studios. Pass middle, caught, spinning with it, trying to pick up the long first down. Can't do it. It'll be just a couple yards shy. David Leathers with the tackle. And another 4th down, and Queen City's going to try and punt this one away.
Yeah, it's really tough to do a play design for 13 yards. You don't really see it there. It's a good job by Minnesota. Just keep it in front of them.
Punt is away, and there will be a return off to the far right side, and that one taken out of bounds by Quake Mam at her own 20. Right now everything's pretty much even except for the score line. Minnesota leading by 4 points. Just getting into this second quarter. Reno under center. France, the tight end, in motion out to the left-hand side. One-man rush for the Corsairs, and that one just overshoots France. France been targeted a couple times as of late and unable to haul in all but his first pass to him.
Kind of a bunched up route combination there. You got to be careful when you got three wide receivers in one set that they don't get kind of mixed up. Just got to get a little bit more time.
This one will be a run through the middle part. That one will gain about 5.
And there we go, going back to the running game there. It was successful on the first drive that led you to the points, and that's exactly what we want to see there. I would even run it on third down there. They gotta show you that Queen City can stop the run, and then right now they haven't.
Three wide receivers here for Reno's going to look middle, and Powell will bring that one in, and that'll move the chains.
What a throw there on third down. Once again, the pocket gave him time there. When you can have a couple seconds in the pocket, you can have time to do a throw like this. Right behind the linebacker, right in front of safety is one of those good pocket throws. Good job on the first down.
That'll keep the drive alive here for the Legend as they now sit on their own 40-yard line. An offset single back, I should say, behind Reno on tight end right. They'll try and pitch it with Hart near side. He breaks one, but cannot break the second tackle made by Luke Swift. I'll bring up second down here for the Legend. Just hitting the 100-yard mark, 20 yards. Reno right side into double coverage. Two defenders had a bite of the cherry. Elijah Quick and Eric Belmont tag team to knock the ball down to the turf.
You gotta be careful. So we saw Queen City run a type of little zone scheme to that side. I know you know your primary target, but you have to look at. You have time in the pocket to look at different receivers because that could have been pick six right there, Tyler.
Minnesota 2 of 3 on third down. Happy to have the ball back after that last one. Reno rolling, firing. That's caught to a wide open Craig Mam. She, again, will move the chains. Second third down conversion of the drive.
And when you can get these third down conversions, it hurts the defense right there. You're thinking you can get off the field, but no, a nice little rollout, drag across the field from the other side. You had time to make a good throw. I appreciate when you can set your feet at the target right there and deliver a strike.
The first down for Minnesota as the drive keeps churning down the field. Pitch play nearly broken up by Young, and Hart does well to power through for 5 yards. Excellent open field running from Colin Hart.
Look, let's talk about the balance that we're seeing from the run game and the passing game for Minnesota here. Both about 82 yards apiece, about a little close. It's even. I love it. The play calling is about even, so you don't know what they're going to be doing, and that's what Minnesota is taking advantage of right now.
Go to the far side with Knox, and he cannot muscle Dexter Jackson and company.
Once again, now we're setting up with another third down. They already had 2 converted this drive as long. This one's a little bit shorter, so they might can squeeze in a run right here. Queen City, I send some linebackers, send the pressure up those gaps.
They go for 3 for 3 on third down of the drive. Yes, they can, and Colin Hart leading the charge to do so.
Yeah, and this is impressive from Minnesota. Coming in so far in the league, they were sitting at 21st in the league in third down conversion. This drive alone, Tyler, they got 3. So they already are beating what they've done so far in this season.
Outside blitz coming. Hart has to get rid of it quickly and finds Jay Taylor for 5 yards.
And he threw it right to where the blitz came from. That is a beautiful way to beat a blitz coming. Recognize it off the edge, had a tight end do a nice little delay block and then out through a good strike. Another good yardage right here.
One coming through the middle, hard, thrown down viciously by Robert Cron. And a sight all too familiar now for Minnesota on this drive. It's third down.
Let's see if they can go 4 for 4 this drive alone on third down conversions right here. Setting up, looks like a run play.
Queen City Needing a stop in the worst way. Knox will get it for him all the way up to the 14-yard line. Another one for Minnesota.
And now we're seeing a healthy dose of Knox on this drive right here. Minnesota setting up in their big formation. Queen City has to make that adjustment. They had more blockers than you were bringing pressure with. That's going to be an easy run here. You got to put some more pressure on this offensive line.
Brand new set of downs here for the Legend. Blitz coming. Knox on a halfback wheel route for 8 yards.
Oh, I like that. That was like a borderline wheel route to a Texas route right there. Went outside, plant the outside foot, and cut back in. That's a good play right there because you saw the over pursuit by Queen City, and that middle was wide open.
Short yardage situation. Here on second down, linebackers creeping closer to the line, anticipating a run. They will give him a run. Knox fighting first down before third down this time around, and it brings up first and goal.
And I think that was a run right behind Ruthie Raven. She 6'7", 335 pounds, and just pushing that defensive linebacker. And I love Knox, the patience to wait for the blocks to happen to go and get that first down.
Goal line defense anticipating another run. Hard, middle, denied at the goal line by Eric Bratton.
What a hit. That was a absolute touchdown saving tackle right there. Now you got to do it 2 more times.
They'll line up and do it again. Second and goal from inside the 1. Handoff. Knox. Touchdown. His second of the season. And Minnesota pushed out the lead to double digits.
And that, Tyler, is what we call bully ball. That drive right there showed the maturity from the 2 games before from Minnesota. When you get 3 third down conversions right there, you keep on moving the ball and you stay on the field, you tired your defense out. You ran the ball right down the middle, showing that you wasn't afraid. And Knox was the person that had those touches for this drive and completed off a beautiful, beautiful run for the score.
How about this for Minnesota? Through the first 2 games, they had 31 rushing attempts. Already in tonight's game, they have 18 rushing attempts, a far cry from where they were. They're going back to their roots, playing Minnesota Legend football, and they have a 11-point lead to show for it. 14-3 with under 4 minutes to go here in quarter number 2. It's been a minute. We hope you haven't forgotten. It's super simple to smash that like button and help the channel out. We just crossed the 8,500 subscriber mark. So subscribe if you have not already so you never miss a live stream, highlight, or podcast. Thanks for your support of the Virtual Football Network and the SFL. Queen City will start this drive with a run, and Minnesota's all over that. Minimal gain for the Corsairs.
Now, we know that Queen City can get yards in big bulk, and we need to see it right here. I still would like to go to the air. You have some dynamic targets that you can throw the ball to.
Slot receiver currently uncovered. Minnesota showing a zone package. And they back out into that zone. Christensen, deep drop over the middle. Caught to the 36-yard line. Good pitch and catch to Guy Clausen.
Yep, one of those dynamic targets right there. 10 years in the league, knows exactly where to sit down in that zone coverage. Once again, that's a tough throw, Tyler, to make, because you see the safety, and that safety could jump on it, but you just put it right in front of the numbers there and let them catch it, let them sit right down for a good first down.
Especially for a young quarterback like Christensen. He's having a great game, 6 of 8 here so far. That run through the middle by osmosis gains 3.
Now you got to start looking at the clock, recognize that Minnesota got the ball first. So Queen City, you can score here. Even if you get a field goal, you're going to get the ball back, and you can try to tie it up in the third quarter beginning.
Middle again, caught, fumbled, and Minnesota recover on their own 39-yard line. Minnesota football.
That I would challenge that. That I don't know if he took the proper steps after the catch. I think he was still like receiving the ball. You have to challenge that because that's going to be game changing if you don't.
And indeed, Queen City are going to toss the challenge flag. Chad Stinson not liking what he's seeing, and so we'll go under the hood with the referee and take a second look at this one.
And Tyler, what we're looking for is you have to make a offensive move after the catch, meaning you got to take some steps after bringing it in, and I just don't see that right there. I literally see it was a point of contact. It's an incompletion more than a fumble.
And the referee does agree with our amateur analysis from both of us and from our stats truck as well. Just for a side saying he didn't make a football move either. Referee agrees, and so it will remain Corsair football. So 3rd and 7, Beasley making a tremendous effort to try and haul that pass in. That might be something that Queen should go back to, Anthony.
Yeah, I would. It was there. You just got to, obviously be careful, hold on to the football, but I'll go right back to it.
Empty backfield. Christensen going to try and tuck it and run, and the defense was looking the other way. Hell of a run from Silas Christensen to flip the field.
And what Christensen saw was nothing. Everybody's in man coverage, and there was just green. And I really appreciate the slide, protect yourself there, but that's a big run. And recognizing that is really important as a young quarterback.
That'll take us to the 2-minute warning here in the first half. Corsairs down by 11, but they have the football. A chance to chip in this lead. High formation behind Christensen as we come out of the 2-minute warning break. 8 men in the box, 5-man rush. Christensen gets hit as he throws and couldn't haul it in. To help out his quarterback was Beasley, and a hefty hit by Johnny Bravo knocking that free. He's been doing that for a long time.
And it's a dangerous pass right there. You saw like that potential fumble right there. Those safeties are coming in heat-seeking to knock the ball loose, and you got to be careful.
Tight ends near side as Christensen barks orders from under center. 5-step drop, scanning, and Matthew Jr. can't bring it in. Derek Meerkat leading with his body to knock that one away.
They are flying at the ball, Tyler. Meerkat, Shady, that secondary, Leathers. Like, you're seeing that they're going to make you pay if you want to throw those post routes over the middle.
Dime look, looks like man coverage here from Minnesota as Christensen underneath, caught by Beasley. It's going to gain only 2, and the Corsair drive will stall out in Minnesota territory.
And Tyler, you be real, you would never think that Minnesota's giving up that many passing yards like they are, but the way they're playing their defense right now, they are literally tackling and hitting this Corsair team. They're showing that they're more dominant so far in this first half than the latter. So it's really impressive to see this on defense.
These wideouts and tight ends aren't showing a few extra bruises after tonight's game. I will be surprised as Garfield will actually get a backup punter here in for the Corsairs. And the punt will be fair caught at the 15-yard line. Again, no Trace Welsh for the Queen City special teams as she is inactive tonight. Does Minnesota will now have an opportunity to march down the field and come up with some points of their own. And it just seemed like, well, Minnesota hasn't won their first 2 games of the season, Anthony. They do lead that Central Division in points for, and it's plays like this. Hart with another angle route, and that's been dicing and slicing through the Corsair front 7 today.
Yeah, and that's, you gotta be careful with that in the second half right there. That angle route is open. That linebackers are not picking up the running back out of the backfield.
Heavy set again here for the Legend. They'll try and run right side. Knox try to cut it back middle, and Queen City is all over that. Dexter Jackson the tackle, and it looks like Minnesota is content with its 11-point lead headed into halftime. They will have to kick the ball away to Queen City to begin the second half.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the same thing, you know, going to half up by 2 scores, you know, celebrate yourself with a good first half, good drive, good running, and everything.
Oh my goodness. Taylor trying to be all nonchalant and pull off a fancy move, and instead Justin Rasai says, you still got to play the game, brother. You can't be showboating now.
Yeah, that's how you hurt yourself, your team, and everything, trying to one-arm catch everything. No, this game is far from over. You don't want to be doing that.
8 seconds remain here in the half as Melillo will punt this one away. It's going to be a high punt, more than likely our final play before the end of the half. Wood gets the return. He gets up to the logo, and clock will expire here in this first half. Minnesota 14, Queen City 3 as we end the first half and get set for the final 2 quarters left to play. Anthony, a very solid football game played here by Minnesota. Queen City just unable to find the necessary chinks in the armor, you would say.
Yeah, and I really appreciate Minnesota doing their homework, their studying, recognizing that they saw some holes in the defense for Queen City to run the football at them. And the offensive line giving you all the time in the world to throw that football. And then now that you got a good passing game, the running lanes are wide open right there. So that was just a dominant performance on offense by Minnesota. Queen City needs to make these adjustments in the locker room so they can get back on the game.
So we are set for the second half of action here from St. Paul, Minnesota, at Stadium. I'm Tyler Falk. He's Anthony Ellison. Great to have your company here for week 3 of the SFL on the Virtual Football Network. Minnesota will kick us off to begin the third quarter as Queen City awaits the kickoff back near their own end zone, and we are back and underway. And there will be a return here from Wood. He tries to cut through the middle, looking to the right side, gets a couple of good blocks. He's going to have a good return up to the 35-yard line.
All right, so Queen City coming back on offense here. Recognize that it was a little bit slower of a drive right here. So this is important. Opening drive in the second half, you want to be able to get good completions. You realize Minnesota have safeties that are going to lay the wood if you go across the middle, so you just got to be mindful.
First and 10 for their own 35-yard line. They'll try and run through the middle, and nothing doing for Charlie Baker. One thing to note for those that are SFL historians, this is the third time that Queen City and Minnesota have met, and all 3 games have been here at Northwood Stadium. Now, talking with Commissioner Cameron Irvine earlier tonight, that's not really supposed to happen. It usually gets flagged, and they usually change up the matchup so that Queen City does play at home versus Minnesota, but another game took precedent. Weren't able to know exactly which one, but more than likely the next time these 2 teams will face off, it will be in Queen City up in Buffalo, New York.
Yeah, and having home field advantages, being in the home game with your fans and everything, it does make a difference right there. So you definitely want to see them play at home.
That's right side. Oh, what a tremendous pick by Chris Stock! Climbing the ladder and hauling that one in.
Oh, that's something that you didn't want to see there, but what a play by Chris Stock right there. Just in a cover 2 shell, playing the underneath route, but tall enough at 6'2" to go up at the highest point to grab that interception. What a absolute pickup from the Nashville Tempo to come up here and make a play right in the beginning of the half.
For Silas Christensen, if I'm looking at it, like that's their first interception thrown as Minson gets all turned around, but somehow finding his way forward up to the 8-yard line. If I'm Christensen, I'm like, well, for that being my first interception, I can't really be too unhappy with that. Defender made a play on the ball, and Howell gives Minnesota a chance here now with 2nd and 2.
Yeah, that was just a heck of a play right there.
I formation, Minnesota have their playbook wide open for them, and they're just going to try and run with Knox, and he is stood up at the line of scrimmage.
That's the pressure we're talking about, Tyler, that they need. Dunking on him right there, was able to blitz through the gap and stop the penetration, stop the pressure of running that side right there. That's what we need to see more of Queen City.
Defense going to do it again. Hard bouncing out of a tackle, out of 2, and finding his footing finally to pick up the first down yardage.
So the touchdown before was Knox. Now we're seeing Hart. This is a running back by committee, and they're just doing it in different ways. Hart is shifty, spin moves, juke moves, and Knox is going to go between the tackles.
D-line trying to get overloaded toward the single back side. Knox on an open lane inside that 20-yard line down to around the 19. And Queen City, we're guessing the side that the tailback was originally on, but he went the other direction.
Knox wanted that in-between tackle right there. Nice. That's an ISO run, running on the one gap. That's the left side of the center. Was wide open there. I love the blocking. The blocking is phenomenal. If somebody's not in front of you, Tyler, you go to the next level, and that's what Minnesota is doing. Big first down run.
3 wide on first down here for the legend. D-line only being sent. France finding the football for only the 2nd time in the game. He hasn't caught a pass since the first drive of the ball game.
It's off of a successful run. Look at the protection. This is just great. This is great coaching right there. Realizing that you have all the time in the world and you got a 6'7" target looking at you across the middle.
D-line again shifting to the direction that this time Hart is in. Middle linebacker showing pressure, and Hart gets the pitch, diving over defenders, picking up touchdown number 2 of the ball game, and Minnesota out to a 17-point lead.
Knox is going to run you over, right? Hart is going to make you lose your shoe. And that's exactly what we saw right there. Nice little shake and bake, and I love the jumping into the end zone right there. This nice little flare for dramatic. So look, you get points off of turnovers. That is key in football. You got the turnover, and you got the 7 points. Minnesota phenomenal.
All it took was 6 plays, a little over 40 yards after the interception, turning the turnover into points. And Minnesota stretching out their lead even further. Queen City are going to have to get a move on. We are back underway. Melillo boots it downfield here for Wood. He's had a couple of decent returns as Wood, and this time he will run right into a defender and go down. Now for Silas Christensen, that's your first interception in 3 games. You got to be wondering, Anthony, the confidence. Does it affect you? What happens if you're a young quarterback in that situation? And what do you got to tell him?
It's gonna you got to tell them the veterans need to say, hey, shake it off. You got to have a short-term memory when it comes to throwing an interception and getting back on the field and go throw the football again. That's the only way to knock it off right there. Go throw another pass.
We'll start with a run that goes nowhere. In fact, losing a yard. B.J. Lovelace cleaning up the broken play.
And right there, good job stopping them behind the backfield right here. It's setting up for Christensen. You got to throw the football. You still have a high completion rating. Go on that and be effective with it.
Passing for 57%. 5-6-man rush. 1 extra they couldn't account for, and it was dunking on him.
And right there, just got past the tackle there, number 62, on the speed rush there. Just didn't get a hands on him. Big sack here, leading to 3rd and 14. Christensen, you got to throw the football now.
2 of 7 on 3rd down here in the ball game. It's 3rd and very long here for the Corsairs. Deep drop, looking for it all into triple coverage, and ill-advised pass. as Bravo deflects it down to the turf. 25% on third down tonight. Did the Corsairs will punt.
And Tyler, you feel the energy coming from Minnesota. Everything is just clicking. And the opposite side, 2 for 8 on third down from Queen City. It's just they can't get everything put together here.
And the return here for Quegman, only gaining a couple yards. She'll be stopped, I don't know, 38-yard line as you're watching Simulation Football League action here on the Virtual Football Network. This week on VFN, SFL Week 4 is on tonight, Saturday, and Monday. And the UFL's final 3 weeks of the regular season start Sunday and Wednesday. No other network gives you more football. The SFL lives on VFN. Minnesota will start the drive with a run. Hart gobbled up in the backfield, hit by 4 defenders before he finally surrendered.
Oh, I love to see it, man. 54, Dexter Jackson came in, which is getting tired of all of the running plays. And he's like, let me just take care of myself. Go out there and made a big play behind the line of scrimmage.
Defense shifting and reacting. Torino as he barks orders, blitz coming past underneath, caught Taylor on the stop route. And that'll bring a 3rd and short situation, a down and distance that Minnesota have thrived in tonight.
And we're seeing a high completion rate from Reno, which normally we see from Christensen right here, throwing from over 65% completed. Nice little button route, sit right down and just threw the target right between the chest.
Minnesota 6 of 8 on third down, looking for Reno and for Hart to convert again, and the run succeeds as they get tackled on the loadout.
Look at the patience. I love it. I wish we can go back and take a look at it there. It was like he was going outside, recognized that it was covered, and cut back in just enough. But you got to believe in your offensive line. That's exactly what Knox and Hart are doing. They're believing in it.
Quick drop, looking middle, and that hits the defender right in the chest protector. Really nothing that Eric Belmont can react to. That just came out so quick from Reno.
Yeah, you just didn't know right there. And, you want to be alert, but it's kind of hard when you throw a zip pass that short in front of you.
Middle linebacker blitz pass, far side, Deezer Powell escaping everybody, finding the weak spot, and down finally near the 10.
We made a joke about having that zip pass, that last play. That right there is the reason why you want to have great arm strength. That is a post route, and I love it. The safety did not get over in time, so it was able to throw it in stride. I love that he broke it. They broke it right back outside. Powell for more yardage. Big game. Now we're talking about we're in the red zone, and you know what they do in the red zone.
And Bentley Bonner just over pursued immediately into his zone, and that allowed for Minnesota to get deeper into the red zone. And that little run, courtesy of fullback Jay Ballmer, going to get them just 4 yards now from the pay dirt.
Tyler, this is a very scary team, this Minnesota team, what we're seeing today there. They're running it up the middle. They don't care what Queen City has in front of them. They're going to say, we're going to score, and we're going to move you out the way.
Looks like a run, smells like a run, and Reno can't get it out of his hand in time. Queen City flying in with their ears pinned, and an excellent tackle on the QB for the Corsairs.
That's what you call a good old-fashioned all-out blitz. And it's just about, and the thing is, if they would have got the handoff, that was probably going to be a touchdown because they were going to the right side, so they got there just in time.
Backing off into their end zone, and it's caught by Taylor. Touchdown, extra point away from a 28-3 scoreline.
If I'm Queen City, it's like, what can we do right there? We just stopped them for a big run, and then they come back and throw a dime in traffic right there. Everything just works your way, Tyler. This is exactly what it is with Minnesota. This is the type of game that they were looking for here. A game to put them on the map early in the season. Great score.
And for the Corsairs, if they over-pursued a couple plays ago, they played at the goal line. All the DBs and linebackers were lined up on the goal line, anticipating that pass. Instead, they back off even further, about a yard or two, allowing for Taylor to slip underneath and pick up the tutty. And now it's 28-3, Minnesota with 12 minutes and 43 seconds of game time remaining, have a chance to pick up their first win of the season. Bob Wood of the Corsairs going to try and twist the narrative here. It's time, Anthony, but they got to start making inroads here and now.
They have time, but they have to start putting points up, because what we're going to see the rest of the game from Minnesota is running the ball, chewing the clock. So they have to make a play here. They have to make a big play. They need to get their offense woken up.
James Matthew Jr. in motion. He's been relatively quiet tonight. 6 targets, 2 completions in his direction, as the run on first down from Baker gets decent yards. They'll give him 4 or 5.
And Tyler, me and you have both seen crazy comebacks in this league. We've seen some fantastic finish. So the game is not over with yet. You just need to find your rhythm. It's a first down. That can be a rhythm for you.
Officially a gain of 3 on first down. We'll see what happens here. They start to run again, and, well, shoveled down, thrown down. Angela Meerkat, she's not playing around. Down goes the tailback, and up comes third down.
No, this defense is not playing around. They are just flying to the ball, and they have their nose on those runners here, knocking it loose.
Christensen rolling across his body. That's caught and trying to pick up the first down yards. Will they give it to him? Yes, they will. That one caught by Ryan Davis for a gain of 7 to move the chains.
That was a very hard first down right there. Ryan Davis took a lick. But it's a first down there. It looks like they're not going to challenge it, and that's what you need. 1 first down at a time.
2 wideouts, 2 backs. 1 tight end here for the Corsairs. Clausen, the man in motion to the near side. They'll try and run the direction that Clausen came from, and Minnesota's all over it. No gain. Alvarado another stop.
Minnesota have held Queen City to under 50 yards so far rushing. That's phenomenal. Going into the most yards so far, Christensen with 14 yards. I think Baker just went over 18 yards rushing. They've been a good job holding them.
It's coming. Christensen trying to escape. And for the second time today, Mark Mello upends the quarterback.
And you're seeing the Christensen that's young, that still needs time to develop right there. Put his head down, looking to run, instead of keeping your eyes down the field to make a throw. This is something that you will learn in time, but right now it's just you're going through the growing pains.
3rd and 12 here for the Corsairs. Minnesota only send 4. Christensen off his back foot. An inaccurate pass results in an incompletion and a punting situation upcoming.
And that right, it just had happy feet in the pocket. It's going to be hard to deliver a good strike when you're throwing off your back foot, jumping in the air. It's just, right now, nothing's going their way.
Here comes the punt again here from the Corsairs. And man on the return, looking between the hash marks and down at her own 33-yard line with 9 seconds to go remaining in the quarter in Minnesota. If they don't mess up here now, Anthony, they're pretty much in cruise control with how good their defense is playing.
Absolutely right here. They can really chew off almost a quarter worth of clock the way they run the football, the way they've been getting their 3rd down conversions right here. Queen City needs to try to get some turnovers.
Set off to Minnesota's left. They'll try and run with Hart, who gets out of a tackle. He's out of a second tackle, and he will finally be brought down past midfield as the clock hits triple zeros. here at the end of the third quarter. The fans are happy in Minnesota. There's not a whole lot to be proud of currently in Minnesota, especially if you're a Twins fan. But unless you're a Lynx fan or you're a Legend fan tonight, you're pretty happy with how these boys and girls are playing, as Minnesota will go into quarter number 4 up 28-3. You're watching the SFL on the Virtual Football Network. We want to welcome you back here to St. Paul, Minnesota, Northwood Stadium here in St. Paul, Minnesota. I'm Tyler Falk. He's Anthony Ellison. Thank you for joining us here this evening. One more quarter to go where anything still can happen here in this wild, wild league that we're all a part of. Pass middle, Taylor again. A brilliant catch. Nothing that Luke Swift could do about it.
No, you played great defense right there. You can't be mad. Jumped over you one-handed and snatched it down. They're not afraid to throw over in the middle, unlike Queen City, which they're getting hit when they go over the middle. Minnesota has all the time.
Run here from Hart, flag incoming, as a little bit of frustration now showing its head here out of Queen City. They've just been run over today. First penalty of the ball game, and that'll be slapped on Alex Marshall, the free safety. Grant Minnesota a few more yards.
And Hart has been very impressive, keeping up with the high yards per carry average that he has right there, but it's just elusive. That's why the face mask happened, because he spun past him.
Floater middle, looking for France, and complete Swift there on coverage. Just look at those total rushing yards, 121 here for Minnesota. Coming into today, Minnesota were averaging about 109 rushing yards a game. Hart, top 10 lead with 152 yards in this young season. He's got a couple more tackles. He's looking down the sideline. 8 more yards here for Colin Hart. That'll put him over the century mark in the, actually, that's not even gonna, yeah, it is Hart. Over the century mark for Hart.
And that was supposed to be a busted play in the backfield, but just, he keeps his legs moving. He is just so shifty right there. They made that 8-yard run look so impressive, breaking the century mark for today.
There's a reason why he's one of the all-time greats. Usually in his a couple of first seasons with Sioux Falls, now here in Minnesota, and he's partnered alongside Isaac Knox, who gets the tough yardage again for Minnesota, keeps the drive alive.
I'm telling y'all, this is the format to play deeper in the season. When you get into the playoffs, when it gets rough in there, when you have an offensive line, a running game like you have in Minnesota, you're going to always be in playoff contention.
A run here from Hart, untouched, and what a run from Hart, untouched for the first 8 yards, and spins forward for a gain of 11. First and goal, Minnesota.
And Tyler, they're not doing anything fancy. They're literally running ISO runs, running at your defensive interior and your linebacker, and they're saying, please try to stop us, because we're going to keep spinning. We're going to keep going right at the heart of your defense, and we want to see you stop it.
I wonder if it's just tiredness for being on the field for so long. I wonder if it's just not toughness for Queen City, because Minnesota have basically been playing with the Corsairs all night tonight on the ground.
Yeah, I can't wait to look at the time of possession, because I know they dominated by at least 10 minutes, if not more. And it's because they're just really effective on the ground. They know how to get past those blitz coverage that Queen City's been doing.
Run far side. Colin Hart called a hat trick. Third rushing touchdown of the game for Colin Hart. And Minnesota have opened a can of you-know-what on Queen City.
Oh yeah, so you recognize that the middle is not there, so you just bounce it to the outside. That's the elusiveness, that's the vision. But how about the blocking? That is the blocking by Minnesota right there. This is pure domination right here. This is what you want to see when you haven't gotten a win so far, going into next week facing a team that already has 2 wins of the season.
The extra point is good.
Extra point is up and good, and I almost hate to say it here, Anthony, but it looks more and more like Queen City, that opening week in the convention, may have been a fluke. Maybe that win versus Detroit may have been a fluke. The inaugural season for the relocated Indianapolis Ramblers, now Detroit Maulers. Maybe it's just a road game. Maybe this team isn't a road team looking at back-to-back road losses, but I'd love to get your thoughts here after we go back to SFL headquarters from a game break from Cam and Irvine.
Thank you, Tyler. Los Angeles only 26 seconds before the end of the first half. No problem. Sully Richardson avoids a sack, finds Chris Lee down the sideline. He did not step out of bounds, and Los Angeles gets themselves back in it. 24-17, Arizona. They're just starting the second half over there in our last game of the night. Back to you.
Thank you, Cam. A good game brewing over there. I want to stop by there after watching this one, folks, as Queen City unable to get that done. Let's get your thoughts now, Anthony. What's gone wrong here for the Corsairs tonight?
And it feels like to me, Tyler, that they felt like they was gonna walk through Minnesota because of the high passing yards given up and the 0-2 record. And this is just a thing to learn to never take any team lightly.
Fumble and Minnesota recover. Insult to injury. Derek Meerkat, I believe, is the one that forced the fumble. Let's get another take on it. Yep, he forced the fumble, and one of the linemen picks it up, and well, there's more heartbreak for the Corsairs.
This leads to my second point here, is being sloppy with the football, not being ready and prepared against this team, and they just showed that they need to get stronger interior. They need to beef up their defensive line, and the linebackers, they cannot roam if the defensive line is getting pushed back, and we saw that today.
Floater middle looking for France. Great coverage by Dexter Jackson. He's one of the only Corsair defenders that have more than 10 seasons in the league. It's a very young in comparison to the Minnesota defense, and it's showing their youth. They're just unable to muscle up and really go toe-to-toe right now with Minnesota. And Reno will look to pass. He has plenty of time, and it's nearly picked up. Could have been a pick six for Eric Belmont. He's had a couple of those missed opportunities today.
And then taking advantage of, situations like that, you got to come down with it. When Minnesota had the chance, they did. We saw Stash come down with an interception. Queen City had those opportunities as well. They haven't converted.
3rd and 10, Minnesota. You can see there in the top right corner of your screen, have had little to no trouble on 3rd downs tonight. Another reason why they're winning. Reno, right side, finding Powell. What a pretty little pass. Perfect touch. 1st down.
And also we're seeing 2 different quarterbacks here today. We're seeing the veteran leadership of Johnny Reno throwing perfect passes like that to get 1st downs, and that's all we saw today for Reno. And then we saw the youth of Christensen, the pressure get to him and losing that confidence at a young age right there. So hopefully Christensen can bounce back next game. But Reno, this is the perfect quarterback for the team.
Delayed handoff as Hart gets the carry here for about 3 yards as the score gets updated. 21st 1st down picked up by Minnesota here today. And now they move inside of the 10-yard line as they look to add even more points onto this one. He'll run middle, knocks untouched before he hits the goal line. 5th total team rushing touchdown tonight. It's gotten ugly.
This is a very scary performance for the league, not just Queen City, for the league, to run the football so effectively. Nothing special. Your fullback didn't even see anybody to touch. He just ran up the middle and said, come on behind me because there's nobody to block. This is a performance of dominance. And nobody probably saw this coming, seeing 42 points on the board right here after coming off 0-2. They're just showing you that they can make adjustments, and they're going to be really scary going forward.
Extra point is up and good, and a stat that is coming more and more into picture now, unfortunately for the Corsairs. They're only now 10 points from giving up a tied franchise worst, largest margin of defeat in franchise history. And that was set last season when they played in Louisiana, taking on the Bossier City Steamers. They lost that game by 49 points, 52-3. And another stat that's really on not a notable one to talk about, this would be the 7th game in franchise history for the Corsairs that they've only scored 3 or fewer points in a game. And they only had one of those going into season 15. Over the past 4 seasons, all the way back to season 22, they've had 5 of them. So looking for something different from the Corsairs. That fumble didn't help on the last drive.
No, not at all. And you're going into a division matchup next week against the DC Dragons, and you're going to have to really find some soul-searching moments in your practice and look at your playbooks and look at your schemes, because division games are so important and they weigh heavy on the playoffs, and that's something that they're going to need to work on.
Another run here for Osmosis. Doesn't look like Queen City's trying to be too aggressive here at this point. Looks like they're just playing for pride and trying to keep everybody healthy. Third down here for the Corsairs. They need to get past their own 30-yard line to keep any hope alive. They'll try and run with it up the middle, nothing doing, only a gain of 2. And stood up by David Leathers. 4th down upcoming. It does look like the offense is sticking on the field this time, and 2 yards to go. Still could run it, still could pass it, but with 4 wide receivers, they're more than likely going to throw it. And here it is, a pass left side that is intercepted. Second pick and fumbled, and Queen City recover. So a little bit of luck going back their way.
Something to hold your head up high for right there. The pass, not the best, but what a way to keep with it, not giving up, causing the fumble. You got the ball back. Let's see if you can get some points on the board. Any points means a lot, so it doesn't matter at this point. You want to get some points. You want to get some positive yardage.
He's playing press on the outside as Christensen middle. Matthew Jr. and tight ends are typically made to take those hits over the middle if they're receiving type. Matthew Jr. is sure taking a lot of licks. See, that one falls incomplete, and Queen City will try again here on 2nd down.
Yeah, and that's been the theme for Minnesota, just laying the wood right over the middle. It's just been tough to throw the ball over the middle. Usually that's where Matthews Jr. is on the tight end, but Kent is getting hit.
Man rush again, Minnesota playing coverage, looking left side. Matthew Jr. again, and he gets depleted as the ball touched his fingertips. Really nothing he can do today. He's been well guarded by this legend secondary.
Just blanket, and just haven't able to get off the line of scrimmage, and when you throw the ball to him, there's 2 people just trying to chop him down. So it's been tough.
Middle, that is caught, looking for 1st down yards, and getting it is Ryan Davis. We've seen a couple of good catches from Davis today. That's his 2nd, but he's been unable to make a whole lot of explosive plays we're used to seeing from him. Bob Wood's 1st catch of the game brings up another Corsair 1st down, and they are now running down the field from the 41. Pass into double coverage, incomplete this time.
Yeah, this is, a little tempo here. When you get the ball, when you get the completion, you just want to keep on going up the field. Like I said, we're trying to get some points here. We want to have something to watch that's positive on the tape during practice.
2nd and 10 with 4 wide receivers here for Christensen. Back to pass again, middle, nice catch by Clausen. That should bring a smile to him in chat. Up to the 29-yard line. Christensen again barking orders, changing the play quickly, pass over the middle, caught and spinning down inside the 20-yard line, first down, but Joe Beasley, unfortunately, is slow to get up. He will exit the remainder of the game.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, hard-hitting defense of Minnesota right there. You know it was going to take a toll on players, the wear and tear. It's one of those things that, you know, hopefully he'll be okay. Probably not going to come back today. If so, let's just make sure it's healthy. You just want to have all your players healthy for next week.
First and 10 from the 19. Christensen, left side, caught. Hit as he hold it in. Guy Clausen again. First and goal from just outside the 8-yard line. Christensen, middle, that one is picked by Minnesota, and the drive that could have boosted their confidence and morale ultimately crumbles at the end. Vincent with the interception, and Minnesota have the ball back.
And that's the second interception on this drive for Christensen. One was a fumble that got it back, and then it's just tough when you're down. You're trying to make some plays here as a young quarterback, and this is just a tough game that you're gonna learn from, and then get ready for the next one.
How about this from Minnesota? Before this play, 35 rushing attempts. They only had 31 through 2 weeks. And we're used to more of this bully ball, hard-nosed running from the legend. 5 more yards on the ground here on first down, but Minnesota has been doing it all.
And now with Minnesota here, just, you know, running the clock down, this is eye-opening for both teams, I think, Tyler. I think this is something that, you know, you want to learn and grow on. But man, I did not see this happening.
High formation, final play before we hit the 2-minute warning. Knox with the give, and they'll give him 4.5 as they'll allow the clock to tick all the way down to the 2-minute warning. 42-3. This game has well been over, except for the crying at this point, as Minnesota will take their first win of the regular season, and a much better game for Minnesota on all fronts. Running, passing, defense. It's all been for the green and silver. Minnesota with just 2 minutes to go from taking victory here at home. As Monday, Cameron Irvine and a special surprise guest will join SFL this week to recap Week 4 action before the 2-10 Denver Nightwings face the 2-0 Denver Nightwings face the 2-0 defending champion Mexico City Aztecs on this week's Monday Night Spectacular. The SFL lives on the Virtual Football Network. That run going for a first down. Queen City playing a little gamesmanship here and calling a timeout. So the Legend will have to gain another first down, keep the ball on their side for the remainder of the game. We get past the 28-yard line. Hart with a good run. That gains 5 more. As Queen City called their second 10 on it. Let's do a little bit of recap here. So I think this game's well in the books at this point, and I think more people want to get over and watch LA and Arizona.
Yeah, so this is what we saw, Tyler. We saw a game plan from the first drive. The first drive set the tone. It was running the football, knowing that they saw weakness in the interior line in film, and they took advantage of it, balancing with passes. This is what we saw all day, Tyler, is breaking tackles and getting to the second level without being touched. And that was because you told your offensive line, if you can make these blocks happen, we're going to get you the run. We're going to get the rushing yards. Or if you give us a pocket We're going to make the throws, and that's what they did all day. So many pancakes there. This offensive line came to play. This whole team came to play.
First kneel down at 3 here from Johnny Reno as the clock will begin to wind down for the Corsairs. Their away road trip ends with this week. They now return home to face division rivals DC, who's unbeaten to this point, or to the beginning of this week, before going on their bye week and then taking on Carolina in week 7. For Minnesota, they go on the road to Fort Lauderdale to face the Florida Storm, who are 2-1 here coming into this week and looking for their second win on the campaign. They'll go on a bye week before taking on Denver in one of their first of 2 games against the Nightwings. That going up in week 7, but it's all really been decided here. One more kneel down upcoming here by Johnny Reno. The total yards say it all. Minnesota had their way, were able to execute their game plan through all phases of tonight's game. It looked like it might have been competitive early with Queen City making a field goal right after Minnesota went down and scored, but Queen City could do nothing after that. Punts, turnovers did them in, and not keeping pace with Minnesota, who scored on 4 consecutive drives in the second half to run away from the Corsairs. It's a Minnesota victory here in St. Paul, 42-3. And we leave you from Northwood Stadium here in St. Paul. For my partner, Anthony Ellison, for my statisticians, Justin Raside and Andrew Gibson, and for the Commissioner, Cameron Irvine, back at SFL headquarters. We'll let the stats roll, and we bid you goodbye for now. We'll see you Monday night. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night.